going thing.
Paragraph number 4. Granddad was probably standing at the gate at this moment, screwing up his eyes to look at the bright red light coming from the church windows, or stumping about in his felt boots, fooling with the servants. His rattle would be fastened to his belt. He would be throwing out his arms and hugging himself against the cold, or with his old man's titter, pinching a maid or one of the cooks. "Have a nip," he would say, holding out his snuff box to the women. The women would take a pinch and sneeze. Grandfather would be overcome with delight, breaking out into jolly laughter and shouting, "Good for frozen noses." Here we can see that Vanka, in his imagination, he sees his grandfather. He is getting ready for doing his duty at night, and he is standing there at the gate and getting ready for doing his night duty. He is a jolly type of person who is interested in fooling the servants and using some snuff. He has got a box in his hand which contains some snuff. Snuff is actually the tobacco powder which he takes through his nose, and sometimes he gives this snuff to some maids in the kitchen. He loves fooling the servants. Sometimes he gives a pinch to the maids and also offers his snuff box and asks them to take a nip. A nip means a small portion of he would say. So take a nip, he would say to the maids in the kitchen, and they would take it and started sneezing, and then he would laugh and say that it is very good for cold nose, because this snuff will open up their noses. Paragraph number 5. Even the dogs would be given snuff. Kastanga would sneeze, shake her head and walk away, offended. But Eel, too polite to sneeze, would wag his tail, and the weather was glorious, the air still transparent and fresh. It was a dark night, but the whole village with its white roofs, the smoke rising from the chimneys, the trees silver with rime, the snowdrifts could be seen distinctly. The sky was sprinkled with gaily twinkling stars, and the Milky Way stood out as clearly as if newly scrubbed for holiday and polished with snow. Here we can see the grandfather. He is a very humorous person, and he enjoys his time when he wakes up at night for doing his duty, and he gives his snuff even to the dogs. And Kastanga would sneeze, but Eel, as I told you, is a very polite, or just acting as a very polite dog, so he would not sneeze. And everything is ready for the grandfather to start his work. And the whole place is covered with snow, and we can see the trees are silver rime. Rime here means the ice. And one can see the stars and the Milky Way very clearly. Now let's go to the 6th paragraph. Vanka sighed, dipped his pen in the ink, and went on writing. And yesterday I had such a hiding. The master took me by the hair and dragged me out into the yard and beat me with the stirrup strap because by mistake I went to sleep while rocking their baby. And one day last week the mistress told me to gut a herring, and I began from the tail, and she picked up the herring and rubbed my face with the head. The other apprentices make fun of me. They send me to the tavern for vodka and make me steal the master's cucumbers. And the master beats me with the first thing he finds. And there is nothing to eat. They give me bread in the morning and gruel for dinner, and in the evening bread again, but I never get tea or cabbage soup. They gobble it all up themselves, and they make me sleep in the passage, and when their baby cries, I don't get any sleep at all. I have to rock it, dear granddad. For the dear Lord's sake, take me away from here. Take me home to the village. I can't bear it any longer. Oh, granddad, I beg and implore you, and I will always pray for you. Do take me away from here, or I will die. Here we can see Vanka writing his letter. He wants to inform his grandfather, who actually brought him here to this Alyakhin for learning the art of shoemaking. And he just shares his bad experiences in the house of Alyakhin. And he says that the previous day he got such a hiding. Hiding here means a punishment. He got such a hiding from his master. What did the master do? The master just dragged him by holding on his hair, and he took a strap, a stirrup strap, and beat him severely. And what is the reason for that? Because he fell asleep while rocking their baby. It was his duty to make the baby sleep, and he was in charge of rocking the baby. And what happened? Because he was very tired and he was sleepless at night, as he was forced to sleep in the passage. He didn't get a good sleep. So he was sleepy and he fell asleep while rocking the baby. And the master, when he came, he saw this and he was very angry, and he took a stirrup strap and started beating him. So he is very cruel man, and he got all type of insult and punishment in the house of Alyakhin. And Vanka says that everyone in the house is like this, not just the master, Alyakhin, his wife, the mistress. His wife also treats him very badly. On one occasion, he was asked to gut a herring. Herring is a type of fish, and gut means to clean a fish. And here he started cleaning the fish from the tail, and the mistress didn't like it. And she just came there and took the fish and rubbed the fish on his face. The master beat him with a strap. The mistress rubbed the fish on his face. And the senior apprentices, that means the other students who are senior, who have joined Alyakhin before Vanka, even they didn't show any kindness to Vanka. They also sent him with some works, like going to the tavern. The tavern means inn, a place where people can stay after paying some money. And they would send him with some type of works, always give him some extra work, like going to the tavern for buying some drinks, and give him some dangerous tasks like stealing from the master's table, etc. And also he didn't get good food. He was getting only bread and gruel. And the senior apprentices, they gobble the good food. Gobble means to eat. They ate up all the good food, and Vanka got only bread and gruel. And it was his duty. So here we can see that in this system of apprenticeship, Vanka is really suffering in the house of Alyakhin. The master, the mistress, senior apprentice, everyone treated him so cruelly. He didn't get any sleep at night. He didn't get good food. He is starving and also really suffer from lack of sleep. Vanka makes a very kind request to his grandfather. Please come and take me away from this house, because if I stay here longer, they would kill me. And the type of punishment that he gets from the house is so harsh. He cannot withstand it any longer, because the master, he didn't give any consideration that he is just a boy. And whenever he finds a kind of something, some mistake, he would beat him with the first thing that he gets in his hand. And Vanka says that he is ready to do anything for coming here and taking him back home. Paragraph number 7. Vanka's lips twitched. He rubbed his eyes with a black fist and gave a sob. I will grind your snuff for you, he went on. I will pray for you, and you can flog me as hard as you like if I am naughty. And if you think there is nothing for me to do, I will ask the steward to take pity on me and let me clean the boots, or I will go as a shepherd boy instead of Fidya. Dear Granddad, I can't stand it. It's killing me. I thought I would run away on foot to the village, but I have no boots and I am afraid of the frost. And when I grow up to be a man, I will look after you and I will not let anyone hurt you. And when you die, I will pray for your soul like I do for my mommy. Here in this paragraph, we can see how sad Vanka is. And he's ready to do anything instead of this work in the house of Alyakhin, because he is a cruel master and his life is in danger. Vanka twitched his lips. Twitched means a convulsive movement. And he started crying. Sobbing means crying. And he started crying. And he gives so many suggestions to his grandfather. If you do me just one favor of coming here and take me back home, I am ready to do anything for you. I will do all your work. I will grind the snuff for you. And I will pray for you. And you can beat me as much as you want if I make anything wrong. And he is even ready to take the job of the shepherd boy, Fidya. He is ready to do any work rather than this work in the house, because he is so afraid to stay in the house of Alyakhin. And he said he would ask the steward to give him some work like cleaning his shoes or going as a shepherd boy instead of his friend Fidya. He is ready to do that work. And he also told him that he cannot stay here, and many times he thought of just escaping from there, running away from there, but he doesn't have shoes or boots. Here we can see, though he is an apprentice in the house of Alyakhin, who is teaching him how to make shoes, he is still without a shoe. He didn't get some shoes. And Vanka says that many times he thought of running away from there, but he is afraid of the frost. It's very cold outside and he doesn't have any shoes. So he could not run away from there. And he says that if his grandfather comes there and takes him, he will always help him, and when he grows a man, he would protect him. He will pray for him after his death, like he is now praying for his mother. Paragraph number 8. Moscow is such a big town. There are so many gentlemen's houses and such a lot of horses and no sheep, and the dogs are not a bit fierce. The boys in the town don't roam the streets with stars, and then they don't allow one to sing in church at Christmas. They were also seen selling fishing hooks that could even hold the sheet fish weighing 30 pounds. There are shops that have all sorts of guns just like the ones the master has at home. They must cost 100 rubles each. In the butcher's shop, they sell grouse, woodcock, and hares about which they don't say where they were shot. Here in this paragraph, he is talking about the town, Moscow. Moscow is not like our village. And he says that there are many rich people, many gentlemen are living here in Moscow, and they have got very good houses and they have got lots of horses. But he could not find any sheep, and the dogs are not very fierce. And their customs and their practices are different from what is there in Vanka's village. And at the time of Christmas, they go from different houses to houses in the village, but here in the town there are no such practices. And many times when Vanka went to the town with his master, he saw there are different types of shops. In some shops you can find there are separate shops for fishing materials, and you can buy very big hooks that can even catch a very big fish like a sheet fish. And they have even some shops only for guns, and the master has got one gun, and the master has a gun at home. And he feels that they may be that these guns are very expensive. They cost a lot of money, 100 rubles. Ruble is a monetary unit. And also they have butcher's shops, and in butcher's shop you can buy grouse. Grouse is a type of large bird which is killed for its flesh, and there are separate shops there for selling all types of meat. There are grouse, woodcock, etc. And you can buy all these things from the shops in Moscow. Paragraph number 9. Dear Granddad, when they have a Christmas tree at the big house, take a glide nut for me and put it away in the green chest. Ask Miss Olga Ignatievna, tell her it's for Vanka. Here, Vanka is making a request to his grandfather to convey his regards to Olga Ignatievna. Olga Ignatievna, lady where Vanka's mother worked earlier. And he makes a request to his grandfather to take a shining nut for him and put it in a green box and tell Olga Ignatievna that it is for Vanka. Paragraph number 10. Vanka gave a sharp sigh and once more gazed at the window pane. He remembered his grandfather going to get a Christmas tree for the gentry and taking his grandson with him. Oh, what happy times those had been! Grandfather would give a chuckle, and the frost-bound wood chuckled, and Vanka, following their example, chuckled too. Before chopping down the fir tree, the grandfather would smoke a pipe, take a long pinch of snuff, and laugh at the shivering Vanka. The young fir trees, coated with frost, stood motionless, waiting to see which one of them was to die. And suddenly a hare would come leaping over a snowdrift swiftly as an arrow. Grandfather could never help shouting, "Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Oh, you stub-tailed devil!" Here, Vanka recollects his past memories when he was staying there in the house of Olga Ignatievna with his grandfather. And during the Christmas season, his grandfather would take him to the forest to cut the fir trees for making the Christmas tree. And he would also take Vanka along with him to the forest for cutting the fir trees. And he really enjoyed those moments he shared with his grandfather. Those were his best days. Those were his happy days that he spent at the house of Olga Ignatievna with his grandfather and his mother. And he would be asked to make a Christmas tree by the master, by the gentleman, and then they would go to the forest for cutting the fir trees. And the grandfather has got certain practices, some customs before he start this process of cutting the tree. He would smoke a pipe, and also he would take a snuff from his box, a long snuff, and then he would look at Vanka, who is shivering because of the cold. Grandfather is cutting the tree. Sometimes they would see a hare. Hare is a type of big rabbit-like creature, a rabbit-like animal. And when seeing this hare, grandfather would shout, "Stop it, stop it." The snub-tailed devil. He calls the hare a devil which has got a small tail. Let's go to paragraph number 11. Grandfather would drag the tree to the big house and they would start decorating it. Miss Olga Ignatievna, Vanka's favorite, was the busiest of all. While Pelageya, Vanka's mother, was alive and in service at the big house, Olga Ignatievna used to give Vanka sweets and amuse herself by teaching him to read, write, and count to 100, and even to dance the quadrille. But when Pelageya died, the orphan Vanka was sent down to the back kitchen to his grandfather, and from there to Moscow to Alyakhin the shoemaker. Here, Vanka cherishes his memories when he was staying at the house of Olga Ignatievna with his mother and grandfather. And we can see that there is only one person other than his mother who showed some kindness to Vanka. It was Olga Ignatievna, who really loved Vanka very much, and she gave him some sweets. Also, she taught him how to read, write, and count up to hundreds, and also taught him how to dance. But things are changed after the death of Vanka's mother, and after the death of Vanka's mother, he was sent to the back kitchen with his grandfather, and then grandfather sent him to this house, Alyakhin's house. Let's go to the paragraph number 12. Come to me, dear granddad, continued Vanka. I beg you, for Christ's sake, take me away from here. Pity me, unhappy orphan. They beat me all the time, and I am always hungry, and I am so miserable here. I can tell you, I cry all the time. And one day the master hit me over the head with a last, and I fell down and thought I would never get up again. I have such a miserable life, worse than a dog's. And I sent my love to Alyona, the one-eyed Jaeger, and the coachman, and don't give my concertina to anyone. I remain your grandson Ivan Zhukov. Dear granddad, do come. Here we can see the pathetic condition, the sad life that Vanka is leading in the house of Alyakhin. Here the master is very cruel, and he beats him with the first thing that he gets in his hand. And sometimes, some days ago, he even took a last. Last is a metal, and using this metal, he beat him on his head, and he became unconscious and fell down and thought he was dead. And the master is such a cruel man who doesn't give even a consideration that he is just a boy, and therefore his life is in danger. And he says that he's crying all the time in that house because everyone treated him so badly, and also he didn't get any food. He is starving and got many punishment from the master, mistress and the senior apprentices. And he is now concluding his letter by saying his regards to Alyona, a friend, and the one-eyed Jaeger, and the coachman, and to everyone in the house. He also makes a request to the grandfather that he has got a concertina. A concertina is a musical instrument, and he makes a request to the grandfather, please don't sell it, or please don't give that to anybody else because he needs it. And he concludes the letter, Granddad, please come here and take me away from here. Take me back to the house where I was happy. I will do anything for you. I will protect you. I will pray for you. And I will be a sincere servant for you. I cannot live here in this house anymore. Paragraph number 13. Vanka folded the sheet of paper in four and put it in an envelope which he had bought the day before for a kopeck. Then he paused to think, dipped his pen into the ink pot and wrote, to grandfather in the village, scratched his head, then thought again, and then added, to Konstantin Makovich. Vanka has just concluded the letter, and he put it in an envelope, and he had bought an envelope some days ago and was and had kept it secretly. He bought it for 1 kopeck. Kopeck is a small amount of money, and for a kopeck he had bought in an envelope a cover for putting this letter. And he's a boy and he doesn't know about how to write a letter or how to send a letter. He doesn't even know that one has to write the correct address on the envelopes. Then only that person will receive the letter. So first he wrote grandfather in the village, and then he thought about it and just wrote the name Konstantin Makovich to Konstantin Makovich. But we know that without complete address, it will not be reached to the grandfather. So that's the sad part about it.